Hello, and welcome to another session of Mountain Home, which is our Forged in the Dark game of dwarven settlement building. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him. I'm going to shill for just a minute and say that the first two volumes of my collected writings on RPGs are out on both Itch and Drive-Thru. I'll have links in the show notes. It's drawn from 14 plus years of writing and examinations. And I haven't even gotten to RPG histories, which is a whole nother a set of books that I have to do. But those are all out there. So you should check those out. This whole thing is part of the Open Hearth Gaming Community, which is also a thing where you can come and play games. And we're relatively benign as far as things go. So we are taking up this evening. Last time, we left off with the sort of the prep and the gathering and our group of 8 people with our skyhook and with one of you with a ladder on their back, getting ready to go up to this. And it is you 4, Press Rylela, Fishbainina, Saruka, and Neverburn. And we will see you throw that hook and begin that climb. And Dazin, it's a magical trip. I mean, it's the ether, the space between the top of the mountain and this moon space that's attached to you that still seems distant as you're climbing up. What is a thing that you see or experience as you are going up this rope?
I mean, starbats.
Okay. And what is are starbats big? Are they small?
Uh, I don't think they're much bigger than normal bats. They're just they travel in very very large swarms.
Swarms. They kind of glitter and glisten. They're black, so they kind of blend in with the star field. And they will come screeching past. It looks like they must be pollen bats, because where any of you have bright colors on, they kind of come and hook and climb on and looking for pollen, like maybe it's a flower. And they will be disappointed when you don't have any pollen for them to gather, and then they'll move on. And you will get that first leg up. Uh, when you reach that second leg, what's the thing that you notice, Dagriel? Either a thing here in the ether space around you, or how your characters are, or what you can see down below or above.
So I think the thing is that as we're traveling, there's these sort of wispy clouds that come across because it was a very clear night, but it turns out when you get up here, there are these misty clouds. And at first I mean, we've been up high on the mountain. We know what those clouds that are hugging the mountain are like. They're wet and um, and they kind of obscure your vision and everything. But these are different. When it runs into you, it kind of lifts you up for a little while, but it also sort of pulls you in the direction it's kind of going. Not a lot, but you can kind of feel yourself being this way. But it is a chance to scramble up the rope a little faster. The problem being is that there's a good chance the person above you isn't being lifted by a cloud, so you end up like right under someone else's boots,
Okay.
very quickly if you aren't careful.
Absolutely. And there is that point when you hit that midpoint. And who is first up the rope?
Either Talon or Fishbanina, I would guess.
Okay.
I
Tolan,
was going to say it's hard to keep fish baiting
yeah.
from the front.
Tolan, what is it like when you hit the midpoint and you have to swap? Like, rather than climbing up, you now have to start climbing down.
I think everyone's reluctant to do it until it gets to the point where they start to feel like they're hanging upside down. Because that's kind of an awkward maneuver. But I think one person does it at a time, and like somebody else is there to like grab onto them from the ladder. It's a very awkward, clumsy, and slow process. Nobody wants to fall off the ladder.
Yeah. It is that swapping, that turning on this rope, that having to make that. You are kind of first in line, and now it's weird. Like now you can see the ground of the moon, the landscape of the moon, which is much more textured and varied and pastel colored as a thing above you, and the planet down below your homeland is almost like now kind of a cartoonish sphere down below, like the moon is in the sky. And Grunheld, as you make your way along this last leg, what is another thing that happens or another thing that you see?
I think as we've been moving up, it's almost below notice, but as we're getting closer and make the flip and are coming down, there is this sound of music from the stars and the moon, and it's not like something being played as much as an ambient sort of the song of the stars is louder here.
Absolutely. And I think there is a moment as you're kind of coming down, and you're hearing that that you get kind of a chill. I think for maybe like 1 second as you're coming down, there is just the barest peak of that chaos moon peeking up from behind this moon. And I think that you all can feel that, it is a night road. It is a gap in the world, a wound that goes into somewhere dangerous and awful beyond. And Tolan, there's that bit where you're now kind of, you can see the ground down below, and you will kind of do the slide down, and it isn't until you're like maybe 20, 30 feet above, you will realize that this hook is hooked onto what looks like a big stone that's in the middle of a body of very, very white blue water. And you kind of bring yourself down onto it, and you will look as you put your feet down on this, and there's just, you realize that it's kind of a big pond, maybe a lake. You can see some vegetation around the edge, and you will see this figure seated at the edge of it, with a hat on their head and like a cape over them, and a fishing rod, and they are just like they you can see their bobber is being grabbed, but they're not paying any attention to that because they are watching this procession. And you'll realize that there's only room for like one of you to stand on this rock, so you're going to have to like figure out about just jumping in the water, or what do you do, Tolan?
I think, stand on the rope, stand on the rock, and like call out to the person fishing. It's like, is it safe to get in the water here?
Yes.
So,
yes.
Thanks. Just turn around, like thumbs up at the others, and jump off the rock.
Okay. And you will go into water that is warm, like the Mediterranean Sea. It's shockingly warm when you go into it, and you do have to kind of immediately swim over, and you will see this guy watches this as the chain of you coming down, and eventually you'll see him kind of suddenly realize, like, oh, and he'll see him stand up, and he plants his fishing pole in there, and he will come over to the edge, and he's grabbed up a length of what looks like a silk rope, and he's kind of waiting to see if any of you need help. And when you get close, you will see this sort of gray furred vermain rat folk will reach out his paw and will help you up onto the shore.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Dawson will definitely need some help as he steps off the rock and his clay body immediately sinks to the bottom of however deep this lake is, and he just walks towards the shore.
Your friend is non-buoyant. Is that that's a lot, quite a lot of armor?
Can I borrow where's the other end of this rope?
Oh, here you go.
I have to take it and like dive down and tie it around Dawson.
Yeah, it's kind of a white, sparkly area, but like when you kick up the sand and the silt from the bottom, again, it's more sparkles and glitter, but it's still obscuring your vision. So when you do get the rope put in your hand, Dawson, that is an aid to you. And this ratling, this vermain will wait. He will go and he will wait until the number you out, and he will say, I have only but one towel. I do have my cloak, if any of you are chilled.
That is very kind of you. And I will kind of look towards the others before I dry off, especially towards Dagriel, who I have to think might be carrying things that might need to be dried quickly.
I think that when you look back, you realize that Dagriel had jumped off the rock and then waited and then got back on and is hauling in the rope that that was the gifted to us. And so they're sort of pulling that back in because we said we would bring it back. So, and you'll see she kind of waves to you.
These fishermen will hand you the towel Grun held and kind of stand back at the edge. Then Dawson will eventually emerge, Tolan helping lead him up.
Who would even make liquid that deep? It's ridiculous. He looks suspiciously at the vermain. Did you do that?
Rubbing the glitter out of my eyes.
I don't think that anyone made this lake unless it was the gods themselves. So they would be your source of ire.
It's okay. Everything is Dawson's source of ire. You don't take him seriously.
I will endeavor to not take him seriously.
Ire is very serious.
There.
It is very kind of you to offer your help. We, as you can tell, have visited from afar.
You are from the world.
That is correct. I am Broodheld. These are my companions, and we are from Carrick Minor.
It's on the ground.
And under it.
I see. So not a flying locale. Is it a city? Is it a castle? Is it a nation?
It is a city and sort of a nation of its own. We are a freehold of dwarves and other associated.
Oh, you are dwarves.
I kind of look at myself.
Several of us.
Yes. Yes.
Of course we are.
Takes a step back.
Please, we come completely peaceably. I know that there has been some ancient animosities between our peoples, but that is long ago.
I will agree to the second half of your statement, but I will say that you are understating the situation regarding the first half of your statement. Is your people who drove ours to near extinction and forced us away from the world.
I believe there were difficulties that let us hope we can move beyond. I'm sure that there were grievances on both sides.
Now, Grunheld, our kind guest is obviously stating facts about history that we must accept because we're being kind to them as guests and people that we're kind to. Why would you dismiss their claims so?
I'm not dismissing them. I'm sure his perspective is very valid.
Well, I am not of the philosopher class, so I cannot speak to that, but I do know that talking or presenting that history in at all a diminished way is not a recipe for gaining the trust of others here.
That's very true. Perhaps, Grunheld, if you apologize to this kind man for all of the evils that the dwarves have done to his people, unprovoked and without any reason, that would make him feel better.
So I was told not to take him seriously, so I'm going to ignore him. All I am saying is that when you speak of these things, you should give them weight rather than attempting to ameliorate or excuse. That is all I'm saying. This is advice from a fisherman at the shore of a lake who has been startled by the arrival of an octet of strangers.
I thank you for your advice, and I will heed your wisdom. And again, we are very thankful for your help.
Would it be amiss for me, again, a simple fisherman on the shore of a lake, to ask what you are doing here, why you have come?
And I will kind of look to see if Dagriel has made it if Dagriel needs help. But it's nice to have my scholar, especially when where there's questions of history.
Yeah,
But,
I think that Degro is like they're at the shore. You get the sense that she's heard that last part of it and sort of like, what do you say? Not smiling, but kind of like, okay, has been listening to it and is sort of reeling that rope in, if that makes any sense. And she will start to walk up. She's still pulling the rope out of the sky, and she will say, well met, and I do appreciate that you are speaking to us on these things. It is always difficult when one has fallen out of their comfort place, and this is all new and bewildering to us, as I'm sure our rival is. She sort of stops and says, Carrick Minor is a mountain. It looks upon the moon, and it considers the moon. She goes, it is the light that illuminates it through the darkness, and it holds it in high regard. Our mountain is in danger, and it told us that we should seek a dragon to assist it and also our own people.
So you are here to speak with the lunar dragon.
We are here first and foremost to consult with you and your peoples who are more experts in this thing before we would attempt such an endeavor. But yes, at some point, as we understand the situation, we would hope to engage and speak with the dragon.
Well, that's quite a thing.
We recognize that, and that is why we need your wisdom.
Well, we are some fair distance away from the cavernous capital. I am, as I have said, a fisherman at the edge of a lake at the far distance. I am outside of civilization. But I suspect that it is my fate and responsibility to assist you.
That's very kind.
And I can guide you to the capital.
Thank
We
you.
thank you.
We should go to my hut, and I will need to pack for the journey. Why don't you all follow me?
Very well.
And he will walk you along through a landscape that is verdant, but everything is done in pastels. Everything is in light colors, as if someone had used watercolors or pastels to paint everything. You can see that the foliage and the plants are green, but they're that lightest sort of mint green. And everything has that kind of a little bit of a washed out look to it. And he will take you along to a fairly expertly built house made with this kind of pale wood. And he will go inside and he will look out and he will say, "You have packed food for a journey, right?"
And we'll nod, and we'll say, and we will share.
Oh, no. I just didn't know if I needed to break out more fish.
No, we should have sufficient supplies.
Excellent.
But thank
All
you.
right. And he will go in and he will change and he'll come back out and kind of standing maybe a little bit straighter and has kind of geared himself up in a little bit more of a kind of a traveling adventurer's outfit and has fitted a bag on him and has a big ringed stick. And he will say, "I am Kasvirha. I
Well met.
Yeah, and I will write that down. That is
Okay.
literally.
He will say, we will have to travel for several days. There are dangers between here and the cavernous capital. We are in the wildlands outside of the gaze. We're at the edges where the chaos moon sometimes touches it with the glow. So there are things out here."
What sort of dangers, sir?
He will look around. He will say, "First of all, do any of you have hats?"
Yeah. Hoods and
helmets.
helmets.
Hoods are fine. If you have hats or helmets, you will want to take those off. Carry them in your pocket. Just put them off to the side. Don't wear them while we're traveling.
Why?
Because there are things that form passages through them.
Ah,
Helmets?
What?
And then Dagriel stops
Okay,
and
pick
goes,
it up.
wait. Yeah, Dagriel goes, wait, I've read about that.
It's they
You have?
Yes, it's a well-known story. It sort of stops and goes, it is actually tied with stories of the moon.
But just they're dangerous. Things can reach through, and you don't want that, especially if it's on your head, as you can imagine. I do not know why hoods are immune from the effect.
That does seem like something we want to avoid.
Yes. Well, let us begin our travel then. And he will turn and he will start walking. And this is a journey. This is where we do our journey roll. And then we're going to kind of narrate some things we see along the way. So, who wishes amongst your party to lead the journey roll?
well, I got okay. I said I have 4 stress.
Everyone has 4 stress.
Oh, that's right. We're all equal.
So, who's leading?
I'll do it.
Okay. So, Dawson is going to lead the journey roll. So, in that case, we're going to get everybody else's roll so you can back clean up. So let us begin with Daggeril. You are muted.
I rolled a 6.
Rolled a 6, so we've already got a success on there. Now we're just checking to see how much stress Dawson might take. Tolan, would you make your journey roll? 4 and a 3, so that's a success. And Grunheld?
Wah, wah.
Dawson, mark 1 stress. And then Dawson, make your roll.
Ugh, 3s.
Well, you were leading it. I don't believe you mark stress for your own failure, just the others. But you did get a 6 in there. So you will walk along. He will take you to places where there are some trails. He will say there are way circles along the path. There are sanctuaries that have been built by the sages. And probably early on the journey, he'll stop and show you one. And it's basically, there is a very clean circle, quite wide, marked out in the ground. And when you step inside it, there's kind of a glitter, and you can see that there's some kind of field of protection that rises up. And he says, these are the best places to camp in the evening, so it's a good reason to stay by the roads.
Is everything here this shiny?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Oh,
It
seems
will,
a lot.
it does. You will get used to it. The problem is it gets in your fur.
Oh,
But not for you. It's merely getting in the cracks of your thing. I can see that you have a fine patina that's building up there.
Like,
You-
kind
you-
of sifting through it, like, what mineral is this that's so shiny?
there are a lot of different things. Some of that's ash and bone dust. It's just glittery.
Bone dust from what? It's a lot of bone.
There are tumults, volcanoes that are not hot, that are processing and breaking down the graveyards of the dragons and the gods. That's on the far side, but the dust still carries even to here. So yes, that's god dust you've got in your eyes.
I licked it. Oh.
I will break out my pipe and
freeze. Has Patrick also frozen? How very odd. I hope it is not that their internet is. I can't hear you, Sherry.
It seems like something has happened.
We will give them a moment.
At least they look dignified in their frozen state. I would
Many
usually
times
look
that has
like-
not been the case for me.
Always have a really, extra derpy expression.
Double Dutch derp.
Aw.
We'll bring them back in.
Do you want to stop the recording?
Yeah, let's pause that. So where you got cut off, Grunheld, you were talking about pulling out your pipe.
Yes. Yep, and offering fellowship if this person will join in and to keep the spirits up of all of our companions.
And he will accept that. He is. What precisely is this?
He's asking.
Yes.
This is pipeweed. It is, it's an enjoyable and relaxing thing to do amongst friends.
Is it like a tea? Is it something you chew?
It is smoked, but it isn't a sort of like a tea in a way, but just a tea for the lungs.
You will have to show me. I do not. This is not
Of
something we have
course.
here.
And I will demonstrate and pass the pipe amongst friends to him as well.
I think he's kind of a farmer type, fairly strongest, but I think he's an absolute lightweight when it comes to this. Like he's like, here. Oh, that's quite good. That's quite good. Oh my.
It takes some getting used to. I remember when I first started smoking and I was a small child, and I reckon exactly the way you just did.
You would give this to children?
No, we wouldn't, I say as I put my hands around between his ears.
Doesn't just looks a little bit sad through this whole thing.
And a bit of ale takes the cough away. Some ale for the gentleman.
Now this I know. Yes. Very dark beer.
Tolan brews it himself.
Oh, well met, Master Brewer.
Thank you. It's made with I described like mix of elven rye and honey from this.
The bramble bees.
Yes.
Oh. That I see. This must be very valuable then.
I suppose it's unusual. To us, it's just what we have.
You have is part of your tribe devoted to the deadly arts of the apiarist?
We have beehives. It's not a. There's no one person or one part of the tribe dedicated to it.
Wow, that is impressive.
Are bees here particularly fierce?
Well, bees are, yes, they're a good size of your fist and half
Oh.
ghost,
What?
so they can
Our
pass
bees are
through
not like
armor.
Our bees are very, very small and mundane compared to that. They are about this big, and though they make a lot of noise and they can sting you, it's a very little sting, and they usually won't unless you're being a jerk.
And they're a very small percentage ghost.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yes.
At most the wings.
Yes, they are bees gather from the flowers and the plants here, and then from the celestial flowers when bouquets or patches pass by, they'll swarm on those. And
Oh.
Is that what the bats?
oh, yes, that's what the bats.
Do the bats come down here?
Not usually. That's they find it difficult to actually fly in close to the ground.
Makes sense.
There
must
are
be some of the celestial flowers near then, because there are swarms of bats.
Yes, there are. You saw some of the mists and clouds and the vapor.
Mhm.
When a good portion of those go through the sky, they will pass over various stars and constellations, and those will sync up and form flower patterns and then become flowers.
Oh.
Oh,
What?
that sounds lovely.
They are spectacular when the light catches them.
Ooh, I hope that we will get to see them.
There is a chance, depends on how the weather is. And I think like the first leg of this journey is past that first rest point, as you cross this plain that's somewhat flat and rolling. But the thing that will strike you is that this plain is covered in cubes of all sizes, from ones you could pick up and hold in your hand to ones that are 10, 12 feet tall on a side. And I think from here you can see that they are all kinds of colors. And the ones that you pass by close by here, you see are like, you'll see one that looks like it's a red marble, and another one that looks like it's iron. Another one that looks like it's made of ice. And it just seems to be these weird, perfect cubes.
Are they large?
The largest ones you see are about 12 feet on any particular side.
That's
Is
pretty
this
large.
some form of commerce or strange art?
It is a physical feature, my friend. The closer we get in towards the edge of civilization, some of those are mined or excavated, but mostly they're left alone. There are dangers through here.
So, wait, you're saying no one did this?
The same person who made the lake did this.
Dawson, I think, is suddenly very interested in some of the cubes and starts like measuring and getting a level and checking the planing of them.
Yeah, you'll actually see one that looks transparent, Dawson, and looks like it actually has stuff in it.
What's in it?
You will walk up and you will look and you will see, as you get close, you'll see like a shield and bits of armor, and you'll see a skeleton floating in it.
That's strange. Measure the side of it.
I think that as you are moving and measuring the side of it, that's when the gelatinous cube begins to roll towards you.
Do they all move like this?
No, get away, get away. Dawson, what do you want to roll to avoid getting enveloped by the gelatinous cube?
I think it might make sense in his confusion and clay form to just like tough it out and let this thing roll over him until it goes past.
Absolutely. I still want you to roll because
Yeah.
you are going to be in it for a while. And this is a question of whether you want to stay in it.
Sorry, by which I meant prowess.
Okay.
So let's see. Dice page is mad at me. All the
You
internet
closed
is
me
mad at
down.
me.
So just one stress.
Got a 5.
So what does that look like, Dawson, when this happens? I think there are audible gasps from the rest of your crew, particularly Fishbane Nina, when you see this thing just roll over Dawson, and then you'll see this clay Dawson floating.
I think he's sort of bemused at first, and then he notices that like all of the sparkly nonsense is getting cleaned off of his form, so he's really happy about that. And then he does seem slightly more alarmed when his pinky like floats by his face, detached from grab the shield and I think start like
if one of you has like
a way
a
out.
pole or something you could stick in to it to help him. Very long and he will kind of look around and realize that none of you have a pole, so he will walk over with his stick and he will very carefully extend it into the gelatinous cube. If someone could brace me,
I would do that. In fact, I would have walked up to like it be another hand
just
on
if
that.
I do not, because it's acidic, and I don't want to particularly get my hand in there.
That makes sense. And she does have a gauntlet on, so she's like, I don't want to ruin it, but better that than yes.
You can grab on, Dawson, to this stick,
Yes.
And they will slowly pull you out of this walking vat of jelly.
Sacred mountain clay, and this is not how you do this. This is very disrespectful.
As he comes out, we're like,
He
hi,
looks
Dawson.
thinner.
You look taller.
Oh no!
Wait a minute. Am I shorter?
It did take a bit off the
Yeah, it's strange. You're proportionally in all ways smaller. How does that even work?
This place is ridiculous. Don't understand. Cubes of horrible things lying around. Shields. Took my
what?
pinky.
3.5 feet tall instead of 5.
God, I look like a gnome.
Well, let us continue on. These things tend to be. I apologize for not realizing what it was, Master Clayman. Let us go. And he will start hiking you along this path. So, Dagriel, what is another wild, weird, lunar wonder that you see on this journey of a couple of days?
Yeah, I think there's a certain thing that as Gabrielle is walking along here, she gets the sense that in some ways something uses at least this part of the moon is sort of, what do you say? That bit of the work table where like all the bits that you've accumulated, you sort of put them over there because sometime you're going to go back and sort them. And essentially the empty jars, there's a lot of things that feel like, oh, this is a thing that is mostly used up. Oh, here's a thing that is kind of a little broken, but they're like large massive things. And yeah, and strange materials. It feels very much like something that would just use the stuff of a thing and shape it. This was the corner of its work table where it tossed all the bits on a good part of this walk along here. And then the cubes, which might be that as well, like the leftover bits. Yeah, junk drawer of the gods.
He will say a number of the heavenly workshops, the smithies and such, when they were split open, things fell here or out into the universe. And so, yes, there is a lot of ephemera and detritus here.
Would it be okay if I took some of that ink?
Good.
There's sort of a big pond of it.
Absolutely. Just make sure it's not sentient.
Oh, good idea. I will make sure to greet it first. If it answers, I will leave it alone.
Fair enough. He'll turn and he'll say, that's good policy generally. Don't wear a hat. Make sure to see if something is sentient before you take it. Tolan, what's another feature here along this journey?
Some towers that they're clearly just made from the ground, and they seem to be a natural structure in the sense that like they weren't intentionally built. There's no straight edges or anything. Have you ever seen pictures of those giant, tall, weird looking termite mounds?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking, but like
Okay.
30, 40 feet tall.
We'll say, we don't know what those are, but we generally give them wide berth.
There is something a little ominous about them.
Yes, that's his general feeling. Tyler, what's another detail as you travel along on these days through this landscape?
I think as we kind of crest a little bit of a hill, there's a fall down, kind of like a shallow valley ahead of us. And as far as we can kind of see across it, there are statues, or you would figure they are statues, but they are like partially buried, so there will be like an arm sticking up out of the ground, or just a face that's kind of bounded up. And there's the foliage, some of the foliage has grown on them, but there is just this whole valley of enormous figures and forms in various states of buried.
And he will say, it is best to keep your voice down when you travel through here, because these things will take your voice and echo and whisper things back to you if you're not careful.
Thank you for the warning.
And he doesn't say any more, like about what they are or why they are or anything like that. He just gets quiet as you walk through the valley of the giant limbs and statues. And Dazen, what's another detail, another feature on this journey?
I think we come to another body of water that's different from the one that we sort of landed in, and as we get closer, may or may not entirely qualify as water, but much like the land is sort of in these cube shapes, this body of water is all just like marbles, perfectly round, glass-seeming marbles that like clink and scrape as they roll and crest against each other.
Don't fall in there. Some people use it for polishing things, but even that is risky.
Where do the waves come from?
We don't know.
Oh.
We have heard that on the world there are tides, and we suspect that it's tidal and maybe tied to the chaos moon and the world in the sky, but it's so dangerous and loud that we haven't really made a study of it. There are a few reckless ones who will come and gather the marbles. The thing about them is, even when they are separated from the water and you take them out and you put them in something else, they'll keep moving.
Oh.
And you see Fishbane in his eyes get
I
wide.
know. I know. Clutch onto her collar.
So do Grunheld.
What a unique object. What an amazing item there, Grunheld.
Yeah, so do we get anywhere close to the shore of this lake?
You could try and get up close if you wanted to try and snag some.
Yeah, I will move a little closer and see if there's some at the edge of the lake there, the shore.
Sure.
Ask if they're sentient first.
Yes.
He says they're not sentient. They're not, as we can tell. So I'm going to be generous and let you roll skirmish for this. This is about getting in quick and fast and grabbing a handful with your gauntlet.
Excellent. All right then. Ooh, let's see how it goes. Got a 5.
So you will get a 5. So I think that you will get a good handful of these, but like it pulls in and it is going to scrape onto your arm and you're going to mark an injury.
I'd like to try to resist that.
You may resist that with prowess.
Alrighty. Double sixes.
Do you remember that when you did double sixes, you actually get a stress back?
Yay!
Wow.
So yeah, you are in and out like a master. Like everyone's like scoop, come walk back as if it was nothing. Big handful of these beautiful gems. You kind of have to get a bag to put them in because they do start to kind of move around in your hands.
I'll give one to Fishbane. 1.
And I think you will come over on the third day, the crest, and the land kind of drops down, and you will see that there is a great built in the ground open city, like a warren city with a kind of open top with different levels and crossways and walks down, that even from here you can see is made of beautiful white white stone and marble and such, and is just enormous, and is a massive, like, thriving metropolis, possibly the biggest city that any of you have ever seen. And he will say, "This is the cavernous capital. This is where it gets difficult."
Which is beautiful.
Wait, this is the difficult part?
Yes. Let's take our first break. We'll come back after 10. Patrick, could you roll me 3d6?
Okay. Two, 3, 6.
Okay. So he will walk you down the main road down, which is paved, carefully done. There are mile markers along its side, and I think that as you are coming in, there are these vermain who will see you, and there will kind of be, a few will see, and then a few will start to run back. And as this goes along, more and more start coming to watch your approach and mutter amongst themselves. And I think, like, you'll start picking up people saying Kuzdal, the old word for dwarf here. And they will watch carefully, and you will come to the great arched gates of this city, and you will see that a group has gathered. There is one among them who has the look of a sage, and another one among them who has the look of maybe some kind of warrior knight or cavalier or something of that sort. And they will kind of come and put themselves in that archway to the city. And the sage one will say, "Halt and state your business."
And I'll look to Grunheld, take the nod, I will step forward, and I will say, "I am Dagriel, scholar of the Carrick Minor peoples." She sort of stops and says, "Ours is a new hold, the new way of finding our place in the world." She goes, "And we have been speaking to our mountain." And she sort of will turn. I assume that there is, like, we see the earth in their sky like the moon is in ours. Is that how it is?
Yep.
And she will point and she will say, "That is Carrick Minor. It is our home." You can see the thing. She goes, "It is one of the closest points to your moon." And she sort of says, "Carrick Minor sends its regards." We come because there is a dragon that has been placed to destroy what lives in Carrick Minor. It is undead and a thing wholly of destruction. Carrick Minor has said that it will take a dragon to defeat this dragon. And so she sort of bows. We come asking if we may speak with the dragon of the moon.
Please roll convince.
All right.
It is one of your strengths.
It is. Let's see here. And what do I have? I think this is a good time to see if I have something that would help here.
I'll mark stress to help you.
Okay.
4 dice.
All right. I will take it. And oof. Yeah, I'm going to go with the 4 dice, I think, at this moment, because I don't know. 46. Is that mine? Is this the right one? No, this is the old one. Sorry. I have 2 of these open, it turns up, so got to get to the most recent one. Okay. 2 4s. It's the highest I have.
So they will listen, and you can definitely hear amongst the populace that there seem to be kind of different groups of factions of people who have kind of gathered together in different places. And some of them are very clearly enraged that the dwarves have had the temerity to come here. It's not a big group, but it's some. There are some who are clearly fascinated, and like when you talk about the dragon and the undead and things like that, you'll hear like talk amongst them, like maybe some kind of crusade or something. It's very odd. And then there are a few of them that are kind of just like uncertain what's going on. And then there are a few others, older ones, and some of the ones that more look like they're dressed like the sage, that seem to be shaking their heads, and they're talking to their acolytes and sending them off to do things. You're not sure what's going on with that. But the scholar and the knight here, you can tell that sort of their initial reaction to this is they are going to put you off and delay you. Like, they're going to let you through, but right now they are going to absolutely make you wait. Do you want to resist that?
I do want to resist that. And truth of the matter is I had studied the Remain language well enough that I think that I will cite perhaps the sort of one and only bit of how do you say cooperation that ever occurred between the dwarves and the Remain that was also another dragon situation, if that makes any sense, and we'll do it in their native tongue.
Roll 2 dice for your resolve.
Okay. Come on. 2 5s, so it costs me 1.
This roller is turned against me.
It's okay. It'll turn against me. You know how it goes.
And they do some conversation, and they will say, the knight will say, "We have a holy appointment and responsibility here that we do not take lightly. We are the gatekeepers for the final armory, and the last of the weapons of heaven. And we are the guardians to the lunar dragon. We acknowledge your request. There are rituals that must be gone through. There are contests that must be passed for us to allow you to travel through to speak with the dragon. If this is that time, then that word will spread for what comes next for all of us. And the knight figure will turn and say, I am Branhul. You will follow me. I will set a watch around you as you travel through. We will take you down into the ceremonial spaces down below. It is a ways downwards, and then I will explain to you as we go what comes next. And he will not. And Dagriel, he will turn to the sage and he says to the sage, tell everyone to make ready. Those who need to pack should pack. Close out whatever business you have. If it is today, then it is today. If it is coming, then make ready. And then he'll turn back to you and say in common, you will walk with me, all of you?
Thank you, yes.
He will say, we will take you downwards. There are 4 contests that you must pass. You may select a representative for each. We ask that no representative participate in more than one of the contests. There is a contest of wisdom. There is a contest of artistry. There is a contest of storytelling. And there is a contest of strength. If you can pass these, then we will open the way for you to speak with the lunar dragon. I cannot give you the details of what the contests are themselves, but if there are other questions that I can answer for you, I will endeavor to do so.
Our apologies. We do not know what we have set in motion. If you might explain to us what it is that you are readying for so that we understand the gravity of the situation, we would appreciate it.
That is for the lunar dragon to explain, if it wills itself to explain, and if you meet with it. I apologize.
So be it.
I will say, this one who has brought you here, we thank you for making him come back to us. And you see he looks a little chagrined, and he will say, my lord, the throne awaits you if you will come and sit again upon it. And he will nod.
Humble fisherman by a lake, huh?
Nice while it lasted.
It will take you down through this. It is multi-tiered buildings and warrens built into walls with ramps and walkways heading downwards. It is lit by these glitter lamps that burn with a kind of a sparkle to them. They actually have to put little covers over them to kind of moderate that, so it isn't like that kind of weird, hard to read by flashing of a light bulb going out. But people are watching you. This is clearly, you will notice, this seems like a very settled civilization. You don't see a lot of warriors here. In fact, very few. It does look mostly like a kind of a agricultural, semi-industrial place. You see they have workshops and smithies and stoneworks and all of those kinds of things here.
And children?
And children, yes. And there are definitely clearly different castes or different interest groups. Like there's different dress and things, so it's not just one monolithic group here. But they'll bring you down to this ceremonial, almost like arena place, in this bright white lunar marble, and they will bring out chairs and seats, and there is food brought and set out for you. And the motions have shifted from that kind of nervousness attachment to, we're now in the ritual, so you're being treated like guests. You know, things are being laid out for you. There's fermented milks as kind of a hard spirit here. Different fruits and cheeses like nothing you've ever seen. There are some meats and things as well, and they will kind of settle themselves in. And there will be Kasvirha will come and say, contests are ritual. You all seem very competent, including this one, and he'll point to Dawson, who I should not take seriously, but we'll see. So, who wants to do which contest? There's a contest of wisdom, there's a contest of strength, there's a contest of artistry, and there's a contest of storytelling.
I mean, I should obviously do the contest of wisdom.
So Dawson says wisdom.
Maybe.
Anyone
Strength
else?
wouldn't be more appropriate with our body.
But it took a lot of wisdom to make this body.
Who feels like they can tell the best tale?
And Stop says, I always think of you as a storyteller among us.
Well, very well. If I
But
certainly
if
know
you-
a few.
Yes, but if you would prefer a different one, since you are a very fine fighter,
We don't know what strength is. I'll admit my back isn't what it used to be if it's just lifting.
and I sort of look at Talon and I say, well, I'm good at fighting. I can do that.
Probably have more practice than most of us.
And she
But
sort of
you're-
dusts her knuckles off and goes, yes, I
Color
do.
Your last dissertation was the bloodiest thing I've ever seen, and I've been in combat.
So strength for Doggerel. Is artistry good for you, Tolan?
Yes.
Okay. Now, here is the trick. Dawson, tell me, What is the contest of storytelling?
Hmm. I think it's a sort of like competing, volleying parables back and forth, trying to convince the audience to move to one side or the other.
Aphorisms, the contest of speaking in wise words there, and with creativity and flair. Grunheld, this definitely feels like a host role for me,
Okay,
right? Does that seem right?
that seems fine. Yes. All right. Well, I begin homilying it up. Let's see if I got anything to help with this a
Yeah.
little. Um, yeah, yeah. I think I'll bring out a historical memento.
Okay.
Um, and it has to do the memento and sort of the gist of all of my homilies is that in the face of great and terrible things, good people put aside differences to unite against it. And this historical memento will be kind of a something that shows like multiple different species coming together. Maybe like a tablet that shows all of them signing together to face off against something.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we do have other races with us, other species with us, so I'll kind of point out that about Carrick Miner.
Let's
All
have her
right.
roll with 4 dice.
Okie dokie. Come on. A 5.
And I think that he will succeed, but you don't like, you wanted to like make a point to like have your theme land right, to use this as an opportunity, but you just don't quite find the words. Do you want to resist that?
Yeah, I think I'm going to resist that. I think I sense the reluctance there and try to put in that last real homily that brings it to total fruition.
Roll 3 dice for your resolve.
I got a 4.
Okay. So to mark 2 stress, and you will kind of land that punchy last note that you want to, where the person across from you there, there's a turn of an expectation for them to say something, and they will just stop, and they will nod, and they will bow their heads, and they will withdraw from the stage. Dagriel, what is the nature of the contest of artistry?
Um, I think that it is, you know how there's that great jumble out in the plains? They sort of just reveal a table that has like many of the small cubes and some of the bits and pieces and all of those things. And they sort of step aside. They don't say anything. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely. So Tolan, what is your approach to this challenge of artistry?
Wow. Well, I think I think the obvious risk this one is built in because I think Tullen is going to sculpt a figure of a Vermain. Attempting what's his name who guided us here.
Right.
But like, you know, maybe that's a 6. Otherwise it's just a Vermain.
Perfect. Let's have you roll with craft. Do you want to spend anything or
yes,
use
I will be
supply?
spending something, I'm sure. Let's see here.
Oh,
Uh
I will spend a stress to assist.
Okay.
And I'll point out as you're walking by, I go, most revered material is the green mottled stone there. They always place it highest.
I will use it for the eyes then.
Yeah.
And I'm making use of tinkering tools. For the
Okay.
like tiny delicate it's here. And let's see, craft 2, and that's okay, that's 4. Awesome. And there's a 6 in there.
There is a 6 in there. So what is it that like you get just right in your laying out of those things?
I think it is I think I get the face and the eyes right. I make the eyes of the green stone. And I think it is, you know, recognizable as what is his name again? Caspera. I think the reason someone recognizes it is not like something that Tolan did intentionally. like Tolan was absolutely trying to do this and made, you know, did something intentionally to like call it out, you know, maybe something, maybe even like holding a fishing rod or something. Somebody else, you know, walks by, it's like, oh, I recognize, you know, the shape of the nose. That that I know. You got it exactly right.
Absolutely. And you will get that set. Grunheld, what is the contest for, let me make sure I get this right. We have just wisdom and strength. What does the contest for strength look like?
Don't feel like it's combat per se for these people. I think that the strength is more determination, like using it. It's one of the kind of like the, what is it, the Hercules pull where you have the two things. It's the holding of the things together and keeping them there for the longest, having that strength of both will and body together.
Absolutely. Dagriel, what do you want to roll that with?
That's interesting. Because everything that I have is really about, what do you say, pointed use of what I have. So that's an interesting one. Here's the thing. My skirmish has made me physically strong, but it's my study of how to get the most out of what I have is probably the thing that will give me the opportunity to actually get this correct. Now, mind you, these are all the same amount of dice. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
But I think that if I'm going to succeed, it's because I get a hold of these things that I have to balance and I figure out exactly what I need to do in order to hold them up the longest.
Let's have you roll. Right now you're at 3 dice.
All right. see here.
I'll help by, let's see, what have I got? Something good to use that would be
How are you helping when it's an individual competition? Like, what are you doing to do that?
yeah, that's where I'm kind of I think that I come over as you were getting ready, and hey, I have great confidence in your strength of body, but I have never had any doubt of your strength of will. And I think I will hand off that, since I have it still for narrative, that sort of item that showed the unity of people.
Okay.
You are the perfect example of what we are building.
4d6.
All right.
Everybody mark the stress.
A 6.
A 6. This thing continually taunts me with the massive chance for fails. So yeah, you will be able to hold that line in a way that impresses and shows that you are who you intend to be. And that means that, last but not least, Tolan, tell us what Dazin's contest of wisdom looks like.
I'm very sorry to Dawson for this, but it is.
I'm excited.
It is an obstacle course. It's a maze with like Indiana Jones traps.
You see them setting up all of these like bits and pits and machinery and all these things. Are you ready for the test of wisdom, Dawson? They say.
I feel this is wait. What are all the spikes for?
Lots of people are coming down to watch this. Like, this is very clearly everyone is interested. They must be very interested in philosophy because they're all coming down to watch this. Apparently philosophy is in like 3 dimensions because there's some going up and coming down things. And you'll hear the sound of like an animal somewhere.
This is so. Do we get a general like layout of topics that we're supposed to dig deep into?
We have a general layout for you. You will see that there are color-coded markers that show you the path that you must go on for the course. And it goes from red, yellow, orange, the classic color spectrum, until you get to the far end when it falls into violet. And the fastest one to complete the run and survive is the winner.
Oh, well, a maze where you've already laid out the course doesn't seem very hard.
Well, then good luck to you. Turn the machinery on and you'll hear the sound of grinding and the of things closing and opening as all the platforming stuff starts getting turned on.
Well then.
I will spend a stress to assist you.
How?
Essentially, I think that what it is I very subtly lean against one of the pillars that kind of goes up high, and Fishbanina crawls up and essentially is up there and ready to call suggestions out to you of where to go next. Because the wisest thing of all is to have a friend helping. So there you go.
So what do you want to roll for this, Dawson?
I'm very torn. I think Journey is probably representing the straightforward sort of going through it. But I'm also tempted by the idea of just fucking up all of their machinery. It's probably Journey.
Okay.
I don't want
Yeah.
to get into the middle of this and find out that I can't control moonstones, right?
So that's 3 dice that you're going to have.
Ooh, you still have a supply. Is there something that could help there?
I do. I have a dowsing rod. Can help me feel in tune with the earth or detect anomalies.
Okay.
I got a 6.
Got a 6. And with the supply, so it's great effect. What is it that, like, you are pushed to your wits' end, but what is it that you do that kind of blows the doors off this place?
I think it's like one of the final runs, and it's a very like Galaxy Quest hallway of wire. There are all these pistons slamming all over the place. And Dawson is just he's standing there. He's got this worried look on his face. If he really could be panting, he would be panting. And it's like he's trying to count things. And
Fishbane is up there going,
and I think like, okay, I'm gonna, and then and the dowsing rod just pulls him, like yanks him forward, and he basically stumbles through the entire hallway of it without stopping on this like just lucky passing through the right timing.
There is a lot of audible gasps and chittering from the crowd on this part. A lot of I can't look kind of moments there. And then there is that last bit where Dazi kind of pops through the last end, kind of thrown out. And there will be people who will be applauding the performance, the sheer gracefulness, temerity, daring. All of these things apply.
Yes, all of my very intentional and amazing tumbling skills.
And they will. Well, everyone will come down to greet you. They will bring basins of clean water and perfumes and things to have yourselves gather your wits about you, gather your things together. And there will be some conversation amongst those three, the king, the knight, and the scholar. And they will say, we will take you to speak to the dragon now.
Thank you.
And they will gather themselves up and they will lead you down further into these tunnels and halls, and you'll see that there are groups of vermain who are at work with great big levers and stone things, and they are winding them, and they're opening up passages that have clearly not been opened in some time to, like, before you, for your way down. You can see that there are, in places as they walk through, great metal, looks like vault doors, safes that are here, that as you make your way down, they don't lead you to any of those. They are kind of what you're passing by. And then they will lead you down into a chamber, and you will see like a good dozen of them, each working with different levers and rods and spin things to kind of turn these gears to open it up. And you will see there is a enormous silver white dragon. It's by far and away the largest living creature you've ever seen. It is seated there. There is a hoard. There are things there, but it looks like it's sleeping on a pile of solid starlight as coinage and gems and that kind of thing. And it will rouse itself when the thing is opened, and you will see it raise its head, and you will see these three kind of step forward, and the lunar dragon will say, "Is it time? Is it time for us to leave? Is this the end time?" And the Vermain will say, "Yes." Let's take our second break, and then we will continue on. Tyler, did you see that Sheiky baby passed away?
Who?
Iron Sheik.
Oh, I did see. I did see. Hell of a life from that guy. I mean, his story is insane from
It is.
his days in Iran all the way through a wrestler. He is something else.
Have you ever seen that weird pseudo documentary, I Like to Hurt People?
Mm,
So wild.
yeah. He won't be able to say fuck you, Hulk Hogan anymore.
What a weird, weird guy.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to resume the recording. I must have did that double hit that I do sometimes. Or maybe we just got all that delightful stuff about the Iron Sheik on our record there. So
There you go.
the dragon raise its head up and will look at all of you and will say, what is the bargain that you have come to make?
Great dragon. The undead dragon of pestilence has taken up residence outside of our home, summoned by the gnomes of the area. It wishes to destroy our people and poison the land all around it. Our mountain, Garrick Minor, gave us the wisdom that to confront this dragon would need another dragon. We come asking if you will be that champion to destroy, defeat, or displace the dragon of pestilence and aid us in our time of need.
Why should I?
I would imagine it cannot be a pleasant thought to have one of your kind be so controlled, to have one of your kind perverted by undeath, but most of all, because we need your help and would give what is required to gain it.
Do not presume to know what I feel about the others of my kind. But I hear you. What does the one who did not bring himself here, but instead sent a proxy say?
I would say that you should not presume to understand the ways of our mountain. I did not send my weak and rotting flesh here. I sent the immortal blood of our mountain as its emissary and as its spirit to show our seriousness and to support my fellows on their travels to another world.
I can smell the weariness in you, Dozenrune Jaw.
A mountain is a
know-
heavy burden to carry.
I know what lies at the heart of your choices. But you may keep your facade up as you wish. What of you, craftsman? You whose mind is in 100 places at once, not settled on any of them. What do you have to say, Tolan?
You're right. We don't know how you would feel about one of your kind or anything else. What would you require of us in return for helping us?
That is a good question, and I will answer that in a moment. Agriel Onyx Blood. I bear all of the knowledge of the dragons. I saw the heavens fall. I saw the beginning and end of things, and I know what comes next. What is your one question for me?
I think that Dagra actually like falls down on her knees. Okay. And then I think she stops and she goes, Lunar Dragon, I do not know your name. I do not know if I even am worthy of hearing it. But I ask you, what do you love?
I love this world, which is why I've dedicated myself to it. Is why I have sealed away the weapons that were left behind that would have destroyed it. It is why I have held back the night road that is the Chaos Moon. When I do this, this will be an ending of things. I will do as you ask. There are terms for that, and I will explain those in a moment. But know that this is the end of things. When I do this, we will all go away. I will go. The armories of heaven will finally be extinguished. The night road will be closed. And the last of the dragons and so many of those things that live on this world will go with me. And new creatures will be born from the dreams of man and elf and human. Because the gods have come back and they are not as they were. And this is a new age that has begun of tumult and trial. You are those who stand on that precipice. You will forge a new world. There are some amongst the vermain here who are unsettled. They have had a peaceful life here. They have dwelt among our civilization. They have sought learning. They have sought wisdom. But there are always those who will look to the sky. Here is what I ask of you. If I help you in destroying this dragon, you must take 36 of my people back to your place, and you will make them part of your kingdom, and you will make them equal within that kingdom. You will make one of them a founder. Do this, and I will take care of your dragon problem. Here is how that would work. When the first full moon of spring comes next year, flush the dragon from its burrow, and the moon will come to the earth and destroy it.
So be it. Thank you.
You are welcome. I have seen this talk many times. Sometimes it goes well and sometimes it does not. But here, and the dragon will shift, and you'll see it reach, and you see it raise its paw up, and it showers you in gems and star metal. Take what you can carry, because no one will believe you. Treasure will have to suffice, because no one will tell that you tell the story to will truly understand what you have seen. I love Grunheld wrapping things up. And behind you, the king will look and say, Casvirha will say, come up and will say, is that sufficient?
It was most generous.
I mean, the talk, not the gifts.
This was the talk, yes.
Why don't we head back out then? And he'll kind of gesture for you to come along, and they will go to shut those gates. Did you get what you wanted?
I suppose, Your Majesty, which of your people will be coming, because they will be most welcome.
I will speak with them, and when the time comes, when the lunar dragon has fulfilled his part in this, I will make sure that they are ready to go.
Garrick Miner has always been open to many, not just dwarves.
This is a new era. This is a new age. And so I hope that the bad blood that has been in the past, as you said before, the problems that are of the past can be worked beyond. And he'll kind of turn to you, Dazin, and he will say, "You seem unsettled."
I'm just hopeful that the dragon can live up to any of its lofty words.
Say, "Well, it's no mountain." We'll say, "Do you have a means back, or shall I fetch transport for you?"
Transport. Yeah, and I sort of think she goes, if there is transport, that would be most welcome. Otherwise, our friends among the Tengu might have to catch us all.
It will take me some time to get the chariot and the horses readied. So perhaps you will indulge in the hospitality here of those who are. We have bards and sages here who are shivering with anticipation to speak with you and to hear news of what is happening in the world. And perhaps, Dazin, you wish to go to the clay pits?
I would see that. Better
Then-
than the trash that your dragon rained down on us.
Gems and star metal are trash?
Has nothing to do with the contents and everything to do with the source. Trash can give nothing but.
I will remember Tolan's words. And he will take you to the sort of place where all of you can gather. And there are various vermain. There are a lot of them. They're still very standoffish, but there are ones that are clearly scholars and scalds and bards and stuff that will come forward to, like, say, well, who are you? Where are you from? What is the story of the place that you come from? And will ask about, like, what is your line? They clearly want to get all of the details of who is your father and who is your mother and what have you done, and all of the stories of the place and what is going on in the world, because they very clearly do not have any real sense of what is happening there.
This is okay. Fishbinina and I have this. So this is.
So what is it that you want to try and do here, Dagriel?
I think that what it is that we start by telling the story, but we go backwards. So the first thing that we tell is our kind of trip up here. And then we go back and we sort of go back with each season and we tell like what the troubles were and the things, the story of until we get back to the story of Carrick Minor. So they understand how recent it is. And then and like in that they will have seen all of the different like people that we've brought in and the other people that are in the plains in the area below, and there's still those frictions and things like that, but then those weird stories of the the gods coming back. So it has that kind of A, it's going backwards in times, but B, there's still lots of questions left unanswered. And of course, we will take a thing in order to do the play about Fishbinina and her discovering, you know, the area down below and all of those kinds of things. So that, you know, and then we will stop and ask them some questions, and then we will go, like each time, it just kind of keep going backwards and backwards and backwards until it's in the sort of realm of lore since the time that, and then we, as much as we can,
Yeah.
you know, go back there. And Fishbinina knows a lot of it, and we also invite Neverburn to tell stories then in those eras too of what happened with her people.
Absolutely. Tolan, what is it that you would like to do? What would you like to get? Are you storytelling? Are you looking for seeds? Are you looking at the crafts work here? What is it you think you're doing?
I think I am talking to their like farmers or anyone who knows about, you know, the crops on the moon. But the thing I want to ask is what their deal with the dragon is, like what you know, what kind of arrangement they have with it, and what will happen to them when the dragon goes away.
They'll say the dragon saved all of our people. It took us from the warrens where we were trapped and dying, and brought us here and gave us the tools to live and survive here, and asked that we maintain the vigil, and that we help keep secure the things that could break the world, and told us that it would at some point have to ascend into the heavens, into those places, and that we would go with them. And that is what we're preparing for, is we will go up into the chamber of heavens, and find a new homeland, and we will be different at that point. And that is what we have known would happen at some point. There are many who are excited by the possibility. There are many who are nervous about it, and some that look to the world below, and still the song of that still sings to them. So it is the last of the old true dragons. There are other mythic beasts in the world who have sung their lamentations of what has happened, and the dragon has offered to take them with it and to help them and to ascend.
So
I'm sure if you ask nicely, it would take you with it.
as tempting as that is, I have responsibilities with my people. But any of your people who wish to go back to the world instead of ascending, we will make them welcome.
That is appreciated. That is appreciated. I will show you our crops. There are some that I think grow well with moonlight and might be to your advantage. And there are other small beasts and things perhaps we can help and provide you with. If you want, I can show you the ghost bees.
Oh yes, I would love to see the ghost bees. Ever since I
We'll have to
heard the
armor up,
description of
but
of course.
and he will provide you with a variety of plants and seeds and things like that. And they have botanists here and they will talk with you about that.
All right.
Grunheld,
Experimental agriculture.
yes.
Always good.
Grunheld, what about you?
I'm going to see if their king will have a moment to talk with me.
Absolutely.
I wanted to thank you again for transporting us. We were unaware of your station, but
As I said, it is the fate binding for one such as you and I.
I fear that we should not have come.
Why?
I think the weight of our actions was more than perhaps we were aware of.
He'll stop you and put his hand on your shoulder, and he will say, "You are." This was going to happen. And it is good that it happens. There are futures where the gods that have arisen came and stormed the moon, tore open the night road of the Chaos Moon, ripped the doors from the armories and brought those weapons back down to Earth, where the Empire of Masks infiltrated, where the Empire of Ghosts sent forth on the husks of their gods as machines to fly up here. What you have given us is a future that is a good one for the world and for my people.
I hope that is the case. It seems that momentous things have gotten into motion with rather small concern on what it could mean from us.
The other thing is you have taken the steps to rid the world of a dangerous thing, that plague dragon, that undead dragon. So
my compatriots, the other founders, and I do wish to say that 36 is an arbitrary number. If there are others who wish to return to the ground below, to the world, we will take what we could and we will help you find homes there. But I hate to see all that you have wrought simply cease.
Oh, you misunderstand. We are not dying. We are not being destroyed. We are going elsewhere. We are transcending.
Yes.
The number that the dragon has cited is because the dragon knows who truly wants to go. And the dragon knows how many your people can support without causing pain to both sides.
No. Perhaps it is best that there is a new world that is arising. I don't know what these new gods, what I've heard does not fill me with confidence. But seeing the vastness of what was before, that filled me with dread. And perhaps its passing is indeed a good thing.
I am very, very old. I was there when the lunar dragon brought the vermain here. And I was old then. And I saw the wars against the gods, and I saw the machineries that did these things.
We've met the elves, which stole from the gardens of the gods, and what they have wrought. Again, It does not seem good.
It does not have to be bad. There are gods who will arise, who will understand their duty.
Now, perhaps I'm not as old as you, but I am not young.
I will say this. The gods who appear, who are there, they're never exactly like you expect them to look.
Well, I don't know about us dwarves trucking with gods and such, but one that would arise from us, I would think. Well, I can only imagine that they would be quite a surprise.
Dawson, what about you? What are you doing?
I don't know. I'm curious to see if, like, you talked about the clay,
Yeah,
and
he'll
there's
yeah.
moon milk stuff.
Yeah, he'll take you down to chambers where there are stalactites and stalagmites made from kind of weird moon milk and stuff. And he will show you places where there is the deep underlayers, but there are tunnels that have been carved. And he says, these pools here, the clay that we get from it, it is bathed in earthlight. And that magical radiance comes down and fills its essence, and we make marvelous ceramics and porcelains and potteries from this.
It's interesting. I don't know how much you've played around with the esoteric magics of it, but there's something about this substance that connects deeply on a spiritual level with things from our world. It seems strange that it would come from another, but maybe this makes sense.
Well, let me have some of this packed for you, some blocks for you to take back with you.
Thank you.
It says, I, as you have mountains, we have these undercaves and the warrens that are down here. These are the things that speak to us.
Well, we understand much of underground and caves. I think you'll find comfort down in the mountain as well.
I guess I mean that our mountain extends down deep. It goes downwards. And he will walk you through this place. He'll show you what they have here in terms of materials. I think one of the things that you will realize is while they do have sort of craftsmen that do have some magical talents and things, a little bit like rune masters, they don't have any wizards or mages or anything like that. They don't seem to have a strong tradition of that, though they do have some, like, clearly some oracular and shamanistic practices. But if anything, the thing that strikes you is that they kind of do practice a form of rune magic. But it's a little bit different, and it's not nearly as sophisticated as that which you perform.
What sort of areas does it focus on?
It tends to focus on fertility and excavation and sort of making places habitable, like creating air, oxygen, water, those kinds of needs and things. And after a day and you're fed well and so on, and you have a chance to walk about and meet with these peoples, they will come out, and he has a great chariot, a big transport chariot that all of you can fit on, and he has a team of Pegasi, four of them, but they're not like sort of beautiful, like swannish Pegasi. They're like Clydesdales with big old wings, and like they're thick horses. Like you kind of don't want to get too close to them. And he will say, "We will be ready when the first full moon comes in spring of next year. I will give you a bird that can travel back and forth if you need to send messages to us."
We will appreciate that, and please send word to us how best we can welcome those who are coming, what requirements may be needed for their comfort.
I will do that, and I will make sure that we take what we can of our scholarship and our roles and records and so on, and figure out about the transporting of that.
I'm sure Zachariel will be most glad to hear.
And he will, there's a driver who kind of gets up on there, and he will turn to all of you, and he said, "It has been a pleasure meeting all of you. We will not meet again, but this has been a very interesting interaction."
Then farewell wherever you fare.
We will be in the heavens. You will look to us and you will see us there.
We will remember your name.
Thank you. And they'll load you up on this. You know, Fishbeanie is getting up there like with where the driver is at, and he's kind of like, "You need to stay back," you know. But they will whip the four Pegasi, and they will lift off, and it's flying, but it's also falling, Dawson, back towards the earth in this chariot as you go down, and you'll fly through those wisps. You'll see the clouds of those bats. You'll see some of the bees on one of those floral bouquet star fields.
Ooh, I wanted to see one of those. Good.
And you will be flown back down to Cadix Minor, and they don't drop you at the top of the mountain. They actually fly you down to the ramp at the base of the mountain so that everybody can see it, and unload you. And then they will take off back up to the sky. And you have 6 treasure from the dragon, which will max out your treasure.
Oh, we just put some in our pockets until the time.
Yeah. That's where we're going to stop. Next time we will see whether we want to do another expedition or whether we want to go to the settlement phase, and then settlement phase, and then figure out like getting ready for dealing with the dragon.
Mhm.
Does that sound reasonable? I would like to do a quick stars and wishes. We have 3 sessions left. Sherry asked me like, "Hey, what are you planning?" And I said, I expect next session we will deal with the dragon and maybe deal with the gnomes, depending on how you handle things. We'll see about that. Otherwise, the gnomes might be another session, but then I want to definitely focus for the last session or last 2 sessions on what you want in terms of building and establishing things and doing that kind of big, like looking at that as the focus, to kind of what stories you want to make sure you get told in that time. So Dagriel, can I start with you?
Yeah. So that was the moon. Was fabulous and mythic and uh, dazzling to consider, and the competitions were pretty cool. I think we ended up with some cool stuff. Yeah, each one of them was good, but I think Dawson's was my favorite. The dowsing rod that pulled him through the death gauntlet was awesome. So it was the perfect way to win the thing. So it was great. Yeah, it was just all the delicious little details. And again, the story and the whole thing was sad and mythic sounding. So I will be thinking about that for a long time. I'm grateful to be playing a scholar who that will really shape what happens for their future, certainly. So
Anything
it's
wishes wise?
um let's see here. I Right now there's just so many things to think about. It's like I don't think that I can form any wishes until
Sure.
we get past the dragon. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely.
That is, I am overwhelmed by that at this moment.
Dawson.
Yeah, I really love the weird insanity physics of the moon. Like nothing made sense and everything was just the most stupid in the best way that it could be. Um, and just like poor Dawson was just every revelation of how physics and basic matter just don't work right here was just infuriating to him. Um, and Tyler, I really liked Grunheld's scene with and I can't remember his name either, but that sort of like meeting of monarchs and Grunheld's thing of like, hey, it seems like your god might be being sort of arbitrary here. We can save / take as many of you as what, like we're not limiting you. And I thought that was a very Grunheld way to approach it.
Awesome. Anything wishes wise?
So I looking at before the end, I do want to have a chance to make it to the Well of Souls down in the
Yes.
waterways, and as much as you could say this about something called the Well of Souls, like it doesn't have to be necessarily a big all-encompassing thing like the dragon stuff has been.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to make sure that we get to it because I want to have the chance to finish that ritual and like make that change going forward before the end of things.
Absolutely. Grunheld?
Big stars. I loved everybody's stuff they brought into the journey. I thought that was a lot of fun. I loved everybody's ideas for the competitions. Those were super neat. And everybody's kind of interacting with the king there. I thought that was there was a whole bunch of neat role play in a cool journey. I mean, it was just all around. There was a lot of neat things, and the visuals you brought in, Lowell, were fantastic. There was, as Sherry said, there was something mythic and grand to the entirety of this that was really strong. And I'll give a star because there, all of it created a weird conflict in both Brunheld and Tyler. There was something both dark and light to that conclusion that really, I mean, it's hit me, and it's going to be something I think about. It was significant, and I liked that. So a good session. Wishes, I've got one for the past, one for the future. The one from the past, I think somewhere in that dragon encounter, I wish Grunheld might have said, I don't want us to be your reason. I want this to be because you and your people, this is what you want. I kind of, it put a lot of weight on what we had asked. And I wish I had articulated there, and not because I wanted it to change or because, I wanted a change, but because I think Grunheld would have felt that weight and wanted to say, we are not, if what we ask is forcing of you, we will not ask it. Because Grunheld wouldn't do that to someone. I think as the fallout and the conversation with the king came around, there was more enlightenment to that. But in that moment, I wish there's something in me that was like, I wish we had not pushed you to this moment. Wishes for the future. I do love the idea of, we've got awesome, cool. I do want to see the waterways. I want to see buildings inside the mountain. But I really sort of wish for, as we end, getting that little bit of a peek of what it's going to be like after, get that little peek of what Carrot Miner is going to be moving towards, have us get a little vision of the place that Carrot can become. And I think that will happen.
Okay. And Tolan.
I mean, stars for everybody's contributions to like what the moon is like. It ended up with this very surreal, completely wild, Dawson's ultimate nightmare place.
The marbles that like I always
every time I thought, wow, that was really strange. The next suggestion was even stranger. It was awesome. I had a couple moments of feeling sort of the same way as Tyler, which I like in retrospect. Like, oh, we just came here to ask for help. We didn't intend to end a civilization. I think it's very interesting, and I'm also looking forward to seeing the Well of Souls and the waterways. I think that's kind of the next really intriguing thing after obviously the dragon. Other than that, I don't really have any wishes jumping out at me. I imagine I probably will next session or session after, but not this time.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. I know we went in wild places. I wanted to paint this big. We'll be a little more grounded for a bit, but we certainly got those pieces out there. And I did love what everybody brought to the details of the moon. That was great stuff. So I had a very good time. I am going to stop the recording.